Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today I wanted to come on here and do a little get ready with me using the Marc Jacobs palette. It's the About Last Night palette. Mine's already got fingerprints all over it. It's getting really dirty. I guess that's what happens when you have like a plasticky palette. It tends to hold all your fingerprints, but it's easily wiped down, so that's not a problem. So the inside of this palette looks like this. I've done a full swatch review on this palette, so I'll leave that link below so you can see the complete swatches using my fingers and also a brush, so you can see how the palette swatches out. But I wanted today to use it to get ready with me, and so you can see how it works actually using on your eyes. So here is what the palette looks like on the inside. You can see my camera in the background there. So I really think the palette itself is gorgeous. I love all the colors in it. I think the colors are very pretty. The colors can kind of go from spring to fall to whatever you need it to do, because I like that it's got these orangey colors in it. It's got this bright pop of gold in here. I really like that gold color. So today what I'm going to do is just do an easy eye look. I'll do the eye look and then I'll come back on here after I finish completely getting ready and tell you guys my final thoughts on this palette. So let's do a quick eye look using this palette. So let me close this up, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to prime our eyes. So what I'm going to use to prime my eyelids with today is the MAC Painterly Paint Pot. You can use pretty much any primer. I've tried different primers with this and it works just fine. I prefer using a primer that's going to kind of cancel out any kind of discoloration on my eyelids, which is why I choose the MAC Painterly Paint Pot. So typically what I would do with a MAC Painterly Paint Pot is put just a little bit on my finger here and then put it on my eyelids. And I'm going to be looking over here because I do have a mirror, because I don't want to mess this up too bad. So I'm going to apply this to my eyelids, smooth it out as much as I can with my finger. And the heat of your fingers is really good to apply a thick consistency product like this, because the heat of your fingers will kind of warm it up and then make it a little more softer and easier to work with. So you can use a brush if you prefer, but I just prefer my fingertips because I think it works really well because of your heat in your fingers, like I said. So again, we're just going to finish applying that onto my eyelid, making sure we have all the spots that I want covered, the inner and outer corners. So there it is, completely done with the primer. And of course, here we go. Goodness, I thought I didn't bring a wipe, and I do. I have one over here. So here's my wipe. I'm going to wipe my fingers off. Now we're going to go in here using this palette. So I know when I did the swatches with this, people were saying that I should probably have used some better brand brushes. But to be honest with you, I think a palette should work no matter what. I don't think you should have to go out and buy specifically high-end brand brushes to use a palette. I know if you're using a high-end palette that, you know, most people are like, well, you should be using a high-end brush. But I don't find that to be true. I think that any brush should work with it as long as it is a good brush itself. If the brush is bad, then of course the quality is not going to be good because of the brush, not because of the palette. But the brushes I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be using the e.l.f. Sea Shadow brush. And I'm going to use that to actually apply my base color. And the base color I'm going to choose today is going to be this one right down here. This is what I'm going to apply to my eyelid all over to kind of set that primer that I put on. And then always tap your brush off to make sure you remove off any excess that you don't need. And I'm just going to quickly apply this all over my eyelid. I will tell you, if you watch the swatch review on this palette, the palette swatches a lot different than what it wears. So keep that in mind. And then again, apply to this eyelid. And I want to remind you also, I am not a makeup artist, so hopefully I can create a look that looks decent enough that you guys aren't like, wow. No. Hopefully I can do a good enough look, because I am not a makeup artist. I'm just a mom who likes makeup. So now I'm going to go in here with this no-name brush. It is just a brush, actually, I think my husband picked up off of Amazon or something. Or no, it was Groupon. He picked it up off of Groupon. So now I'm going to go in here with, I'm going to try to find me a crease color, and I'm going to use this shade right down. I'm trying to use this and show you all without blinding you all at the same time. So I'm going to go in here with this color right here onto the brush. And my brushes are clean. I use the color switch to clean my brushes, and I do have the color switch sitting here, so if I need to use the brush again, I can clean my brush off by using the color switch. And all I'm going to do now, you can see already that this palette is, even though it didn't swatch pigmented, when you put your primer on and you go in with this eye look, with any eye look, using this palette, it's very pigmented. It has a lot of pigment to it, so I think this palette swatches. It reminds me a lot of, like my friend said, it reminds me a lot of how the Tarte blushes swatch. Tarte blushes, if you try to swatch a Tarte blush, like, you're going to get hardly any pigmentation. But once you apply it to your face, then you see the pigmentation. That's what this palette reminds me of. Is that it doesn't swatch well, finger or brush, but it applies great. So I do think this palette is really, really nice. I'm not sure still if it's worth the amount of money that they're charging for it, but I do enjoy it, and I do think that it's something nice to have. So I would leave that up to you all if you would like to purchase this palette, because it is a more expensive palette. So you have to keep that in mind. So I'm going in, like I said, with a gray here as my transition, just because I'm feeling a little gray today. So I'm just going to blend that out on both sides. And the key to any kind of eye makeup look that you're going to do is to blend. You want to blend as much as you possibly can, because the more you blend, the better it's going to look. It doesn't matter what kind of eyeshadow you're using. The more you blend, I've got a sleepy or something there in my eye. That's nice. So the key to any palette is to blend. So as long as you're blending your palette out really well, it should work for you. So as you can see already, it's got a lot of pigmentation just by using that one shade. I do like that a lot. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean that brush off. Sorry if I bumped you all. I'm going to clean it off using my color switch. And you'll see once I've cleaned it, I'll show you. There's nothing left onto the brush. The brush is completely clean. Well, it's not like sanitized, but it's clean. There's no more powders on the product, on the brush. So now I'm going to go in with a little bit of a darker shade. So I don't have any particular eye look in mind right now. I'm just kind of picking and choosing. So I'm going to go in with this color right down here. Let me show you. I'm going to go in with this color right here. It's like a deep, almost like a gray brown. I'm going to go in with that, tap my brush off, and I'm going to just pat that onto the corners here, just to deepen this up a little bit more. And so far, like I said, this palette does wear a lot better than it swatches. I haven't had a color in here that didn't wear better than it swatched. I've tried it out in multiple eye looks, and I really enjoyed every eye look I used. I took this with me to travel. It traveled well, which was a little nervous to take it, because I was like, you know, that's a very expensive palette to travel with and possibly break. So I was a little nervous, but I took it anyway. So now what I'm going to do is to kind of blend everything together so it doesn't look so dark and in one spot. I'm going to go back in with the color that I used as my base color. I'm going to go back in with that a little bit, and I'm going to just kind of rub these colors together. Just because I don't want a super bold look. This is a day look I'm going for here, which is kind of a bold, smokier eye for a day look. So there's so far. I'm going to go back in with a little bit more, tap it off, and again, blend. You want to blend in windshield wiper motions and then also in circular motions, just so that you can get it blended in really, really well with your eyelid. I try to make it as seamless as possible, even though that's really hard sometimes. This shadow does blend really well though, so I do find it blends easily. I don't think I have any problems trying to blend it. Now I'm going to go in and try to put a pop of color onto, a pop of light onto the center here, because I enjoy having a pop of light in the center of my eye. I think it looks really pretty. I'm going to go in actually with this color that I was super excited about, this gold color here. I'm going to go in with that a little bit towards the inner part, and then in the middle I'm going to use the more bronzy color. We're just going to experiment today. I don't think this eye look meshes well, but I'm just trying to show you how the different colors work, so we'll see how it turns out. It may end up being a complete flop here. So there is the yellow color, as you can see, going on. It's super pigmented. This one actually swatched really well though, so I didn't have any doubts on this one. I didn't even tap off my brush though. That wasn't very smart. Now I'm going to go in and do the same thing here. I'm going to go in and do like the inner corner right here with that color. I think you can honestly make any kind of colors go together. I don't think you have to use specific shades. That's why that little tag thing that Emily Noel 88, 83, 88, I'm not sure what her the last part of her title is, when she did the singles cruise and then also the palette bingo. That's why everything worked out so well, because you can honestly make anything go together. I think it just depends on the eye look that you're looking for. So now we're going to go in with that coppery bronze color. I'm going to pop that right here in the center. And we are going to blend these again because I don't want to leave it so drastic that the color change, because you can see the color change pretty drastically right there. I do like to use a shimmer on the center of my eyelids because I think it does make your eyelids look a little more, I don't know, I just think it makes your eyes look really nice if you have a pop of color in the center, pop of shimmer. And as you can see, this palette's working out really, really well. So there is the eye look so far. Now I'm going to go in and blend everything together. So I'm going to go back in with that no-name brush that my sweet husband picked up from Groupon. And it's, like I said, a no-name brush. So again, you do not have to use any kind of fancy brushes with this palette. You can use whatever you have, whatever you prefer, whatever you like. And these colors are going to work together. So I'm just blending a little bit. I don't know how other people blend their makeup, but this is how I do it. But then again, like I said, I'm not a professional makeup artist. So I'm just doing with what I like. So once we get these colors blended kinda, then we can go in and do our brow bone, because we're almost done with the eye look. This is what I was going for. Well, not really what I was going for. It's what ended up, because we're just kind of playing around with it. So this is how it ended up. So now I'm going to go in with the brow bone highlight. So I'm going to go into this shade right here on the end. That is a shimmery color. So I'm going to go in lightly with that, tap it off, and I'm going to define my brow bone. And that has like a pink undertone. I don't know if you can tell or not, but it does have like a little bit of a pink undertone to it. So which is really pretty. Because sometimes I don't want a stark white highlight on my brow bone. I prefer for it to be a little bit of a different shade. This is a very bold, dramatic look. So again, you can go in very neutral with this palette. You can go in very bold. You can do it however you choose to. It's completely up to you. So now I'm just going to go in and blend these colors together here a little bit. Just because I don't want it to look too crazy. I think I just blended the gray way too far up. So let's see if we can clean that up there a little bit. See, this is what happens when you're on the fly trying to do makeup. So now what we'll do is I'll go back into that color that I laid down originally. Whoops. I guess I didn't dust off very well because there was a lot of pigment coming up there, a lot of powder. So I'm going to do the same thing there. I'm going to blend these two with that shade. And once I put all my other makeup on, this look will come together a little bit better. So right now it does look a little bit bold, but I promise it will get better. I don't know about this eye though. I think we might have messed this eye up. This eye looks a little bold right now and it looks a little dark right there. So I have a really dark smoky eye right there. So I may have to do a little bit of cleaning up on that spot. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off of this right now for now, and then I'm going to come back after I've completed the rest of my makeup and show you guys my completed makeup look using this palette and let you know my final thoughts on this palette. So just hang tight. Okay guys, I've completed my makeup look now, so my makeup is completely on. So I will tell you that after applying everything else, I really do think this eye look turned out really pretty. I think I really like the pop of the yellow in the center. I think it's cute. So my final thoughts on this palette, well, actually first I'll tell you what the rest of the makeup that I have on my face so you can kind of know what I've done. So what I've done is I've used the Chocolate Soleil bronzer by Too Faced. I have the little deluxe sample. I've used the Too Faced Perfect Flush Blush and Something About Berry. I used the Mary Luminizer highlighter. And then I used the It Cosmetics, what is this called? Bye Bye Pores Translucent Setting Powder. I used that for under my eyes because I used the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind, which is almost completely empty. I love this stuff. I use that for under my eyes to conceal my darkness. And then as for mascara, I use the Voluminous False Fiber Lashes by L'Oreal. So that is everything else that is on my face. oh wait, I do have a liner. The liner was the Ico. Let me grab it here. It's the Ico Eye Liquid Eyeliner. I don't know. I'm not sure. It's just a little sample size that I got in one of my boxes, my subscription boxes, and I really do like that. So that is everything else that is on my face today. So now for a final thoughts on this palette. I love it. I will tell you, I do love the palette. I don't think it swatches well. I think it swatches very terribly, honestly, because when I was swatching it when I first got it, I was like, ugh, you know, this thing's gonna have to go back because it's not good. I was very unimpressed. But then using it on my eyes, I feel like it does such a good job on your eyes. I feel like it's one of those that blends out really nicely. You can build the pigmentation. It is pigmented and you can build upon it. So I feel like this eye look turned out really well. You guys saw how it went on pretty easily. The color had no problem going on. I did fix that little spot here. I had to go in with a little bit of concealer and fix where I guess I didn't clean off my brush well enough. That's not the palette's fault. That's the user error. So I did clean that up. But my final thoughts on this palette is that I really do love it. I think it's a great palette. It works great on the eyes. Every color works great on my eyes. I've not had a problem with any of them. I don't have a problem with fall. I mean, there's a little fallout you guys saw, but it's not anything dramatic. That's why most of the time I do my face, like I'll put on my foundation, but I won't do concealer or anything until the end. So if there's anything that I need to clean up, I'll use the concealer to clean it up. That's just how I do it. I really do love this palette. I think it's nice. I'm not certain that it's worth $99. I don't know. That's, I think, something that you guys are going to have to decide whether you prefer to, if you would like to pay that much for a palette. I'm definitely going to keep it. I had thoughts that I might return it, but I'm definitely going to keep it because I really do enjoy it. And it's nice to have one luxury palette that I have of my own that works well on my eyes. I know it doesn't swatch well, like I said, so, but it wears really, really well and it stays on my eyes all day. I've not had a problem with it fading or falling out or anything like that. I do love it. I think it's a great palette. So if you guys are interested in getting this palette, don't swatch it in store and be like, no way. Take it home and try it on your eyes before you decide, because it's amazing on your eyes. I will promise you that. It does a great job on your eyes. Like I said, it's kind of like the Tarte blushes, where the Tarte blushes, like you try to swatch them and you're like, whoa, where's the pigmentation? But then you put it on your cheeks and you see the pigmentation. It's there. It's just, for some reason, they just don't swatch well. And I don't know if it's because they're hard pressed into the pan. I'm not certain if that's the reason why. I just know it works really well on the eyes, and I think it's a great palette. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below about this palette. I would be happy to answer anything that you have concerning this palette. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.